All right, let's talk a little bit first about the genesis of karate combat. Can you tell me how karate came around and why it was decided that this new entry was needed in the combat sports space? What was lacking?
Yeah, so what was lacking in the combat sports space, or at least we felt it was lacking, is a professional karate league. Back in 2016, when the UFC was sold for $4 billion, that was the same year when karate got into the Olympics. And the founders of Karate Combat, they just asked themselves, like, if martial arts and combat sports are such a big business, we've got karate, which is probably the biggest martial arts in the world, at least by people participating and training. How come that there's no professional league? And this was a time back in 2017 when they contacted me and we started working together, and we said, like, okay, there might be something here. It's a big opportunity for us to start a league from scratch and do something similar to what you have in amateur boxing and professional boxing. Because if you take a look at MMA or kickboxing, which are obviously very well-known professional fighting leagues or organizations, their amateur organizations are not as strong as the professional one. Although in karate you have huge worldwide organizations, federations, and millions of people practicing karate. And for some reason, until now, nobody did a professional full contact league. So basically this was the idea behind starting a pro league. And this is how we started. And every year by year we wanna do something different. We wanna do something which nobody else did before. And we're coming with Karate Combat Season 3, and we're really excited to show again something to the world which was not done before.
Give us a little insight into your process, into how you find the best fighters for your seasons.
Yeah, so as I said before, there are millions of people doing karate, but also when it comes to very high level karatekas, those are not millions of people, right? So I'm coming from a karate background. I was a competitor myself for more than 20 years. So one of the disciplines, the point fighting, the Olympic karate, I was very much involved in. And also our matchmaker was very much involved in that one. So we have a pretty good understanding of who are the ones who would be either willing or would be really good in fighting full contact or wanting to transition from amateur fighting to full contact fighting. So this is one of the big pools is point fighting. Then you've got all the other organizations, Kyokushin, Kudo, where it is full contact but with a limited rule set. So this is also a big pool for us to choose fighters from. And then you have hundreds of people applying weekly to our setup system, where they say, okay, I want to fight for Karate Combat, and we basically go through every and each application and we take a look and we see who would be a good fit for us, and this is how we do the selection. Also, we've got recommendations from people who are already fighting in the pit, or from managers, from coaches, and from teams. But it's like we're in the beginning and we're in a slow process, and also it's not so easy because this is not like somebody jumping in from a cage to another cage or from a ring to another ring. Because although this is still full contact fighting, nobody really fought in a pit before, which basically changes a lot of things around fighting. So guys who are fighting for us for years now, or not only once but a few times already in pit, you can see how they evolve and how they become better each time they fight. And also sometimes for us it's just we don't know what we get, because in karate you don't have a share dog. In karate you don't have huge media attention in professional fighting, because it's basically non-existent. So for us, it takes a lot of work, a lot of research of the guys who wanting to fight with us, or the ones who we want them to fight with us.
Can you give us some insight into the design of the pit and why that design was chosen over something like the traditional ring or maybe even a modified cage?
Yeah, so as I said before, we're not interested in doing things the same way as done before, or maybe also we're thinking of, if we do something similar, we want to take away the good and just forget about the things we don't like. And when we started the league, we said, all right, we can have a ring, it's already out there for hundreds of years. We weren't even considering a cage. We could have like mats, what a lot of karate tournaments are fighting on, or fighters fight on a mat. But we said we need to do something which doesn't exist right now. And we were going back and forth and thinking, what would be really cool. And so we wanted a space where it's difficult to hide. So you either fight or you don't, but then you lose. So this is how we came up with the pit. And back in 2017, we built a prototype to see if it works. And from the very beginning, it was, when it was built, it was already not only a good fighting area, but it was impressive to see. It was something, you stepped in and you could see that this is something which doesn't exist and could be really good. And all the feedback we received was really, really good, because, not everybody likes the visual of a cage, for example, because they think, that can be a little bit barbaric. And also sometimes it just doesn't help the fight itself, because guys can stall a fight, when they go at the wall of a cage. And, as I said, the ring also wasn't really an option for us. So this is how we started, and we still use it today.
What has the reception been from some of your athletes when they first get into the pit?
Some of them loved it from the very beginning, and some of them were like, okay, I really need to study how to fight in here, because first of all, the rule set says that if your back is at the pit wall, you're not grounded. So you still, basically you're in a position which is unfavorable for you, because you are not in an upright position. You're basically leaning on a wall. It's a little bit difficult to move around. You can still, of course, defend yourself, but your opponent can do basically whatever the rules allows. And some of them had trouble with it. They went back to the wall and they just fall, because they were not expecting that they're gonna have something behind them. And some of them they started to use it for their own advantages, and those guys are really were above their opponents, or were better than their opponents, because they felt at home, they felt really comfortable using the pit and doing Superman punches from there. So I think it was 50-50, but now, as I said before, the guys who are fighting there for the second time, they already understand that the fighting doesn't stop when they arrive at the wall, and if they use it, it's only gonna be good for them.
I think for so many years, especially for some older folks, karate was such a dominant part of pop culture. You think about the 80s and the 90s, you had so many big karate stars, from Chuck Norris and Jean-Claude Van Damme, of course. But then we kind of got away from that with the birth and the rise of mixed martial arts, and now there's so many MMA schools, especially stateside. There seems like they're popping up on every corner. Do you think with karate now in the Olympics, and with the rise of karate combat, that karate is kind of getting brought back to the forefront and kind of bringing back some of that respect to the sport that it kind of faded away over the last 20 years?
I'm 100% positive about karate coming back. And when we started the league a few years ago, we said, of course, not going into any political things, but we said, let's make karate great again. And the reason was because we felt hurt a little bit that our beloved sport and the martial art we've been practicing is something what the majority of people who watch MMA or watch professional boxing, they said like, all right, you do karate, is basically a kid sport, and we thought otherwise. We thought that maybe the cage and MMA and the rule set favors wrestlers or favors more people who are coming from a Muay Thai background or other stand-up. But we said that karate is just as good, but we need to be part of showing this to the world. And I think the stars are so much aligned right now. I mean, if you think about Cobra Kai, I mean, like if you walk in any country on the streets, you see karate schools, and what we hear from around the world is that kids want to start karate. It's not, they maybe want to start MMA as well, judo as well, and karate as well, but now not only for kids, but grown-ups want to start karate as well. So that's the one thing is Cobra Kai. The other thing is what you mentioned is the Olympics, right? So karate is getting more highlighted, it's getting more into the media circulation, and we are here for almost 4 years now. We pop up on Instagram, we pop up on YouTube, we've got the distribution deals around the world. So I think it's not only us, but like it is a common effort, and we are putting karate back on the map.
Have you been watching Cobra Kai, and what is your review of the show so far?
Yeah, I've been watching it. I've been enjoying it a lot, and again, I mean, I'm a karate guy, and we eat, sleep, and breathe with karate. This is all where our heads at, and to see a major show having a major success, and seeing people talking about karate and mentioning senseis and karate terms, this is huge for us. So like I'm very proud of that, and like being a karateka myself, and also can't wait to see season 4.
Now that you're a couple seasons in and you're really so close to the action, how hard is it for you as a lifelong fighter and a lifelong athlete to push down that urge to want to compete again?
I don't want to compete again, so it's easy. I retired when I was 32. That was 8 years ago, and I retired not because I had to, but because I wanted to, because I had several years in a national team, and it was enough. And I just enjoy more now, giving a platform, building something for the next generation, or for people who didn't have a chance. And I think we are giving a chance for people who are willing to take their competition to a different level. So before you had to transition to MMA, to kickboxing, or basically you had to stop after a certain age if you didn't want to move into those sports. And now we're creating something where we're giving people a hope and also something to fight for, maybe after they finalize their amateur career. And some of the young guys, they want to jump in, starting with professional fighting. Fighting in general is getting really hyped up these days. All the YouTubers and celebrities want to fight, that they do as well. And we mentioned Cobra Kai, and a lot of things are going around fighting. And I think this is for us, it's a huge opportunity to put karate combat on the map as well. And for me personally, that I can be a part of it, that's a big thing.
I know it's still early, but can you talk a little bit about your expansion plans, particularly the Western markets?
Yeah, so starting from July, we're going on CBS Sports in the USA. And I think that's a major step forward for us. Last year we had decent distribution, but especially in the USA, we didn't have a big network behind us. And right now we're going on CBS, which is huge for us. We're also going to Global in Brazil, which is the #1 distribution channel there, and Kovacs is the Combat Sports channel of theirs. And we go to Match TV in Russia. We are signing a deal with Eurosport in India. So I think we're gonna put Karate Combat in front of millions of people. So season 3 gonna have a huge impact on our company, on our organization, and we really can't wait to show people what we've been doing in the last couple of months.
Okay, great. Anything else you want to touch on with Karate Combat or the future?
Yeah, maybe just talk about a little bit with season 3 having Georges St-Pierre, because I would assume that your readers are more they can relate better to mixed martial artists, and for us having GSP, who is arguably one of the best who ever done it in the cage, and he's very, very proud of his karate background. He started with Kyokushin karate, and even today he says that his success, or one of the biggest positive in his success or in his career, was his karate knowledge. Everybody's saying like he was the best wrestler or best grappler who wasn't a wrestler, and he said like, I was never a wrestler, and the reason why my takedowns were so good because my timing was really good, which I can thank because I did karate. So that's huge for us, that we could win him. Like when Bas Rutten reached out to him that we really want to work with him, he was like, he didn't think twice. He said, I love Karate Combat, I love you, Bas. I just want to do anything with you guys, because I think that you're onto something and I want to be part of it. And then we've got Lyoto Machida as well, as a seasoned sensei and as an ambassador of our league. Who knows, maybe one day gonna be fighting in the pit as well. And also I think for MMA fans around the world, I don't have to mention that the karate guy in the cage or in the UFC is Lyoto Machida. And for us, having Lyoto Machida and GSP on our side, it's just it's a huge deal.
What capacity will GSP be with Karate Combat?
Yes, so a little bit about season 3. So last season we traveled through planets, and this season we're gonna travel through time. And you already asked me about karate, and we want to show a little bit of the history and the evolution of karate with season 3. So we're going back in time now. We're gonna time travel. We're going back to the 1800s of Okinawa in the first few episodes. Then we move to Hollywood, which had a great impact on karate, the Bruce Lee movies and all the Jean-Claude Van Damme movies. And then at the last few episodes, we go to the future, when Karate Combat is the biggest sport in the world. And GSP is going to be part of the whole narrative and the whole storyline throughout the entire 12 weeks. He's going to give his take on each and every episode. So he's going to do a recap every week about what he was impressed with in those events. And he's also going to talk to the fighters and do a little mentorship with them. So I think everybody who's gonna watch Karate Combat season 3, they will enjoy what the GSP is doing in there.
So you have GSP and Lyoto Machida under the same roof. How do you keep them from fighting?
I don't want to keep them from fighting. So that's the only thing I want them to do. But obviously this is not so easy. I mean, like for me, a relatively young promoter in this business, to put on a fight between Machida and GSP for the best karate guy in the world, that would be a dream come true. I wouldn't say they don't want to do it, but you guys know that it's not just their agreement what we need for that. But we don't know what's going to happen, but we're going to work on it so that we can figure out who's the best.